Congratulations on making Team USA. Krysta, take us back to the beginning. How did you get started diving?
Wow, this goes way back. Actually, I can take us back all the way to the beginning of my athletic journey because I started when I was 5 in gymnastics, and I did that for 7 years. And then I transferred into trampoline after having some injuries with gymnastics. And I did that competitively on the international stage for about 8 years. And then I didn't start diving until the age of 20. So now I've been diving for about eight years, and we've made it this far, which is really cool. It's kind of an unbelievable journey for me, but I'm super excited about where it's taken me and just blessed to achieve my dream now.
Krysta, I love your path. Untraditional, right? Trampoline, then started diving at age 20. A lot of divers start as gymnasts or swimmers, but you started with trampoline. Take us through that sport. What is that like? Obviously, with your diving training now, you're doing a lot of trampoline, but doing that full time.
I love trampoline. It was one of the best sports, I think. I always think back to when I was a trampolinist and how much fun I had because it was fun. And, I fly high. That was always my little logo I had in the back of my mind because that's the goal of trampoline, to jump high and to do multiple flips and multiple twists. And for diving, it really transferred over well. I mean, it gave me the spatial and aerial awareness that divers need, and it taught me the beauty of the sport and really just how to control my body in the air and have visual references and all of that. And I also learned how to compete when I was a trampolinist as well too. And compete, but also perform. I mean, diving is a performance. And so I'm definitely grateful for my past in that sport because it taught me so much that has contributed to my diving career and why I can be a competitive athlete at this stage.
Train your body in the air. Sounds so easy, right? For us divers, it's no big deal. Take us through maybe when you first started trampoline. What were some of the, I guess, elements you had to overcome and get comfortable?
So I saw somebody jumping on the trampoline before I even got into it. And I remember watching her do a 10 skill routine, and I was just thinking in my mind, that is beautiful. That is gymnastics flying through the air on a trampoline. And to me, my eyes just lit up. I was always a really big fan of trampoline when I was a gymnast. My heart was just there. And to be able to come into it and know that it was possibly going to become an Olympic event. And I was really excited about that thought because I'd always wanted to be an Olympian ever since I was a young kid. When I was a gymnast at the age of 5, I went up to one of my coaches, and I don't really remember this, but she remembers it, and she says, "You came up to me at the age of 5 saying I'm going to be an Olympian one day." And I had hopes of that when I was a gymnast and was on top's national team, and just one injury set me out of the sport, and I grew too tall to become an Olympic level gymnast, and grew into my own body. But that body type was really good for trampoline because long and lean looks really beautiful flying through the air. And so I just got super excited about it, and it became an Olympic event. And so my hopes was then I can be an Olympic athlete on the trampoline and just pursue this. And so from day one, it was go time. I was really excited about the sport. It was something new for me. We did a little bit of Jumpstart national team, which was fun. So you learn how, I mean, it's strength and conditioning, but it's also doing specific skills on the trampoline. So I developed in the right on the right path with it, and step by step we just kept getting better and better. And I loved it. I mean, my heart was really there, and that's really how I achieved so much in that sport, is because I loved what I did.
From 5 years old, you knew you were going to be an Olympian. I mean, how were you able to see into the future like this, Krysta? That's amazing.
In my little 5-year-old mind, I just saw Olympians on TV, just thinking, I want to be on TV. That was my mindset, I think.
That is amazing. Just knowing you can do it and having that goal and then achieving it, but in a different sport. I want to talk about starting diving at the age of 20. What was that like initially transitioning to diving?
It was a scary thought. I mean, because I had had so much experience with my prior sports, and to leave trampoline behind was really, really tough because I knew that I had a dream, and to leave the sport of trampoline, and actually diving didn't come into play until a year after I had decided to leave trampoline, because I just decided to, end athletics because I had had two other knee injuries on the trampoline, and that just really took me out. And for me, I just had to decide that it was best for my body to just, leave trampoline behind. And that was very, very hard for me. And then getting into diving, it was pretty scary for me at the age of 20, because I know I'm getting older now, and to pick up a sport that late in my career just seemed a little bit crazy, because I didn't have any experience in it. And so I was coming into it with, I felt like a fresh slate, and I was just thinking, okay, this might take a long time to get good at this. But I entered into it with the mindset of, I get to continue to do flipping and twisting, and that's really what I love to do anyways. And I guess I just pursued it from there. I didn't know how far it could take me. I really just said, hey, let's just do this for fun. We'll enter into it and see where it goes. And I was lucky enough, my coach offered me a college scholarship onto the team. I first walked onto the university team because I really had no experience, and from there she just kept rewarding me, and she said, keep working hard and we'll see where this goes. And by my junior year, I was a full ride um, student athlete. So I was just grateful for all those opportunities, and just from there kept going.
Such an incredible story, and you've earned every single bit of it. Krysta, it sounds simple, right? Training your body to land on your feet, and then with diving, you got to land on your head. What was that originally like when you moved to diving and you had to put everything to your head?
Yeah, it was really just chuck it, honestly. I knew how to do the flips, and to me, it was just another extra half somersault. So, but for me, that was actually one of the hardest things in diving, was to learn how to rip an entry. And I was just reading Laura Wilkinson's book last night, and it talks about how she went in for her one of her first diving practices, and she hit the water and ripped it right away. And I was just thinking, wow, like that's amazing. I mean, that's not my story, but that's amazing. It took me years to develop the skill of how to make an entry, because I just had all these habits from another sport that I needed to actually break. And it was hard. So I think habits are harder to break than learning something new. But yeah, I mean, trampoline gave me the spatial awareness, so I was able to learn my list really quickly, and I was grateful for that.
Learning how to rip is not easy. Like you said, it just takes so much time. It
Mhm.
does. But then once you get it, you have it and you lock it in.
Yep.
Krysta, I want to talk about 2020, just the year. Obviously COVID-19 was super unprecedented, but you always keep a positive mentality, and that shows in both your training and your competitions. How were you able to just rise above that time and stay sharp?
I mean, it was a lot of hard times that we went through as an athlete. I mean, when the initial shutdown took place, we were going to plan to do a China training trip. And that obviously was the first thing that got canceled. And we were really disappointed in that. That was going to be a pre Olympic trials training trip for me and my teammate, Evan Moretti. And so we had this all planned, and that got canceled. And it was just like, whoa, okay, the world is doing something other than what we think it's going to do. And so we continued with our work at home, and then the weight room was the next thing to get shut down, and from there it was the pool. And we just tried our best. At that point, we came into the facility before it shut down, and we tried to grab as much equipment as we could. And so we grabbed a couple mats from the pool to take over to my friend's apartment because I was going to move out of my house with my roommates just to stay safe and stay in a bubble because we just didn't know what it was going to be like. And so I moved in with a teammate in the apartment, and we were doing somersaults in my friend's apartment for many months. And I was also lucky enough to have a really good friend she worked in the weight room. So she took a barbell and some weights with her, and we lifted weights in her neighborhood for a couple months there too. So I mean, my mindset, it was hard at first when we realized there was going to be a year delay, but I also took that as an opportunity and just said, hey, I can have a whole nother year to get stronger and to get more consistency in my dives. Who knows when we'll get back in the pool, but at least, I can be stronger than I was before the pandemic. And that was really my goal coming out of COVID. And so luckily for us, then the pool opened back up and we got to back to our training regiment that we're used to. But it was a lot of visualization. We're out of the pool, so just tried to keep my mind in the game still too.
I'm glad you mentioned the visualization, because diving is almost more mental than physical, right? We train our body so hard. The body knows what to do, but obviously not being able to train consistently was difficult. But how did you keep that mindset sharp, and visualize these dives, maybe watch some video of you doing the dives in the past just to keep the feel going?
That's one of the things that helps me the most is honestly watching other video. And we were many nights in the apartment. We found a TV by the somebody was throwing it away, and so we brought this TV up to the apartment and we connected it to the laptop. And I said, "Hey, let's watch diving." And from there, we watched so many, just all the different World Series events, World Cup events, World Championships, and I just always, wanted to keep that fresh in my mind. And to me, watching diving is actually one of the things that helps me the most in my career. Watching others dive, people that are better than me, people that have technique that I would like to steal from them, and learn for myself. And also watching my own diving too is really helpful for me as well. But that's something we couldn't do really during COVID. So um, and visualization. I mean, I worked with Karen Kogan, who's our sports psychologist, and she gave me a bunch of actually, she made me some recordings of walking me through each dive, what it would feel like to walk into the pool and smell the chlorine and see the dry land facility and the pool, and then what it feels like to walk up those stairs to 3 meter and turn around and get prepped for your dive. I mean, everything step by step. And so for me, having that guided visualization really helped me because I haven't visualized too much in the past. And so it was kind of a start for me. And from there, I just was able to take it into my own hands and start to visualize my own dives without being guided so much. But those are the things that really helped me stay in the game, I think, mentally.
Krysta, I want to talk about you as an individual competitor. How do you separate yourself from the competition? Are there certain things that you do in between dives, before dives, after dives, that is kind of like your routine?
I think every diver does have a routine. I really, before Olympic trials, I was reminiscing kind of on my past routine because it had been a while since we competed. And so I think I had to go back through that again. And so visualizing that. But really, I mean, I do all my simulations, my dive simulations 3 times before I do my dive. That gets my legs activated. And for me, that's what helps me so much. And then I will get up to the diving board. I guess I do some breathing exercises. And then before I get up onto the board, I don't know if anybody does this, but I do. And I think of a funny memory that I have of just something in my past with friends or family or something that's going to make me feel happy and light and relaxed. And I guess that's my routine. After I do the dive, if it's good or bad, I come back and I run a little bit. I like get that anxiousness out and the excitement over the dive out. And then from there, I just relax and listen to a fun song, and just kind of regroup for the next dive.
I love that. Do you mind sharing just a funny memory or a fun song that comes to the top of your mind right now?
One, oh man, it's just so ridiculous. But one of my friends and I, like I said, we got that TV from next to the trash can. And so I'd always get dropped off at the apartment, and everybody dropped off their giveaway stuff that they didn't want anymore there. And I'm always so excited about it. My mom's always super been into like thrift store shopping. And so I guess that carried on to me. And so I go over there, I'm like, oh, look, it's a camping chair. And I get so excited. This is with one of my friends. And I go up and I like pull it out and I go to sit in it, and the whole back of it just broke.
Oh
And I like
no.
fell backwards, and the little sticks are hanging beside me, and I'm just hanging on the chair. Like,
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. I'm sure it was so funny to see that. I'm sure your friends were dying. They were laughing so hard. And
oh yeah.
good thing you have quick reactions. So you probably, with your ab strength, pulled it in real tight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that, like, before my last dive, my very last dive, at the trials, I was just laughing to myself. It just really made me laugh out loud. But something like so silly and so goofy like that makes me kind of feel relaxed, and just remember to enjoy the moment, because that's why we do our sport, is to have fun and enjoy what we do. And I love competing, so just enjoying the journey, I think, is what I always try to remember.
Amen to that. So if the camera zooms in on you, Krysta Palmer, and she's laughing, we know she's thinking of a funny memory. So
Yes. Yep.
or if you're smiling or if you're just relaxed, we know you're thinking about something.
Yeah, I probably look a little ridiculous, but you know what? Do what you got to do.
Chris, I want to talk about trials a little bit more. Take us through your mindset heading into the Olympic trials.
Before I left for Olympic trials, I'm not gonna lie, I felt pretty confident, and I actually was a little nervous about this feeling, because walking into any, walking into any competition, you want to feel confident, but you don't want to let it put pressure on you. And so that's kind of what I was worried about, is that this confidence was going to reshape into pressure. And so I had to kind of remember, slow yourself down, like don't get too ahead of yourself. And I'm glad I kind of experienced those emotions, because it really helped me remember to stay present and live in the moment, and not think too far ahead. And so going into trials, my I walked onto the plane. We didn't really taper, as some people would call it, but I walked onto the plane. I was sore from a workout the day before, and I was a little bit worried, but my coach, I trust her 100% with her training. And she said, I want you to be strong all the way up until the end of your individual event. And, we're not going to taper, we're not going to slow down, because I want you to keep that strength. And so I was worried about it, but I really trusted her 100% with it too. And so okay, I accept it. There's where we are. And I walked on the plane. I was sore. I was like, okay, I'm a little nervous about this, but here we go. And so once we got to Olympic trials, then from there, it's really just practicing. It's not, you're not going there to learn anything new or improve as a diver. You're really there to just show what you have. And so for me, I knew once I got there, I'd be able to get a lot of rest in my hotel room and whatnot. So, but yeah, going into that, I was excited to compete with Allison Gibson in synchro. And, we came in kind of as the underdogs. We've had some success in the past of winning Grand Prix and traveling and competing internationally at world championships together, but we really were kind of underdogs coming into the competition. And for us, I think that was an okay position to be in. It didn't put pressure on us. And so, for her and I, we just remembered to have fun and enjoy the moment and whatnot. And so I think us adding our 5154 to our list really helped us a lot. It gave us a good amount of difficulty over our competitors, and it's a great dive for us. We've been training it for some time now, and we were just really excited to compete it. And so, Yeah, I mean, we definitely, it paid off to compete that dive, and we'll continue to compete that in the Olympics, because internationally there's not many teams that will compete that dive together. So we're excited to kind of bring that to the international stage and whatnot. And so I actually was on two different boards at Olympic trials as well. I competed on one board for synchronized because Allison liked this other board, and I was okay, dealing with the other board. And then for individual, I then popped over to the other board and I was just flying on it. And so it was great for me to kind of be excited for synchro and, not necessarily loving the board I was on, but I was still excited to compete synchro. And then when I went to individual, I was excited to be on a fresh board that I really, that did me well. And so I think that kind of kept my excitement rolling into individual. And like I said, I was flying. I don't know. My coach really had great, awareness of how to peak me at the right time. So um, I'm proud and happy of how everything turned out, and just excited to compete in the Olympic Games. I mean, a 24-year dream in the making.
Yeah, you guys are a dominant team. And when I talked to Allison, she talked about you guys as a pair. She mentioned you challenge her in certain areas and she challenges you in certain areas. Can you talk about what makes you guys such a good pair?
I think her and I, honestly, we just like to have fun together. And that's really, I think, what helps us both compete. And I'm so grateful that, she competes well like that, because that's also how I compete well too. And so we challenge each other in that way to just continue being relaxed and having fun. And I think in some ways I challenge her, maybe emotions, to keep them level, because I think we've been competing together for 5 years, and I think she's come a long ways in knowing how to level her emotions. And I think she challenges me as an athlete too, because I mean, she's young, she's strong, she can go. And so it kind of challenges me when she comes to practice with me, or I go to practice with her, to train harder and to be better. And I think that is really the secret to our team. We enjoy to have fun together, and that's how, yeah, keeps us light.
You leave for Tokyo pretty soon. Take us through your routine right now and your mentality and your physical preparation as you head into the Olympic Games here quickly.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. I never have experienced this before. And so coming back from Olympic trials, we rested a little bit, we enjoyed a little bit of celebration and whatnot. That takes a lot out of you. I mean, the competition was long and hard, and I think we trained a total of 10 days without really a day off, and competed, in those days too. And so it's a lot physically, it's a lot mentally. So I came back and I rested a bit. And, then now we cut the media off as best as we can, 2 weeks ago. And so now I can get back into the rhythm of training again and just doing what we were doing before. And, I'm just trying my best to stay as healthy as I can going into the Olympic Games. And I think now we've got 2 weeks left, and we're gonna do the same thing where we don't really taper. We're just gonna train until we leave. And I did tell my coach I cannot be sore on the international flight though. My body's already gonna take a beating from international flight, but yeah. So just training, and now it feels great to be in the rhythm of what we were doing. And I'm just excited to experience all of the Olympic Games. It's just been a dream of mine, and now it's coming out to play. So I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have that same confidence and almost like a relaxation like you did before trials? Are you feeling that same way heading into the games?
As of now, I mean, I just feel pretty relaxed. I'm enjoying this process, and I think for me, I'm just trying to stay in the moment. And, I think emotions just come and go. So I don't know how I'll be feeling right before we leave. But as of now, I mean, my body is pretty healthy. We have had some injuries this past year, but I mean, just doing what we can to get through those and whatnot.
So I got fun answers when I asked some of the other divers what they're most looking forward to heading into the games. Some said the opening ceremonies, some said the swag that you get, right? You get some cool gear. What are you most excited
Well,
for?
definitely for both of those two, but I think most excited for opening ceremonies. I've experienced that in just this at the two world championships that I've been to, and it's some of the best memories that I have. I just feel so like excited and like I'm just in the realm of Olympic Games, and that is to me the most exciting thing. I mean, I've watched it on TV as a kid and just wished one day I'd be able to walk in it. And so I've never gotten to walk in an opening ceremony. So I'm probably looking forward to that the most. It is 2 days before my event with Allison. So I told her, I said, we're going to have to be sitting down as much as possible. So, I mean, we're going to look fun. Hopefully, we don't get white pants. We're going to be
Yeah.
sitting on the ground. Because we got to, rest our legs as much as we can. But it's something that you just cannot miss. And I'm so looking forward to opening ceremonies.
Krysta, USA Diving is starting a campaign, Champions Forged in the Water. Talk about how diving has impacted your life forever.
Oh, diving has taught me so much. I think the number one thing is to always be a fighter, because I think, from my previous sports of gymnastics and trampoline, I would travel across the world to another country and only have two routines to compete that were both about 16 seconds long. And if anything goes wrong in that routine, you're out of the competition, you're taken out. And so diving was a fresh look on it was a new challenge for me, because, you do a poor dive, but you can come back on the next dive and keep fighting. And so diving has really taught me how to continue fighting, no matter what circumstances I'm faced with. And that's the number one thing that I've learned. I also have been taught, I mean, the consistency of hard work, because you can't achieve something without some hard work there too. I mean, talent can get you so far, but it's also hard work that will get you that step over your competition. And so I've learned how consistency just plays so much of a role into um, performance and success. So those are probably the two most important things that diving's taught me.
You mentioned it's not game over if you miss a dive, just reset, refocus, move on. How important is it for you to take it one dive at a time? Break it down.
It's so crucial, and I really feel like I've been trying to strive for this in past competitions, and finally at Olympic trials, I really feel like I got it. I always compete 51, 54 last, and that's my very last dive. And I train this dive really, really well, but I never compete it really, really well. And I thought about it. I was like, why don't I do this? Why can't I compete it well? And I remembered thinking, oh, because I'm always one step ahead of myself. I'm thinking, oh, you train this dive well, you'll compete it just fine. You don't need to worry about it. Like, we're good, kind of. And so my mind is one step ahead of my dive, and really I'm not focusing and dialing in to the present moment and taking it dive by dive. And so I went into trials just knowing that I needed to still fight till the end, but also stay in the moment. And I really did just that. I mean, the last dive that I did, I didn't need to do to win the trials, which was really cool. I didn't know that actually going into that last dive. And I'm actually really grateful that I didn't know that, because I might have not done that dive to the best of my abilities. I might have stepped ahead of the game and really started to celebrate inside, and, take it. I wouldn't have been in the moment. And so I I'm happy that I stayed present, and that is truly one of the most important things as a diver, I think, as any athlete, really.
I know you're solely focused on the games, but I have to ask you, what are your future plans? What are your future goals?
Right now, I'm studying my MBA, and I'm so lucky because Team USA is actually partnered with DeVry University. And this was something, I mean, it came out of the blue. I was like, should I apply for it? I don't know. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to apply for it. And I prayed about it, and I was like, God, if this is where I'm supposed to be after, show me. And the next email 2 days later came in, you got a full ride scholarship. Through Team USA for DeVry. And so that covers my whole MBA. So I will hit the ground running when I come back from Olympic Games. And I've taken 2 classes already, but I've been able to take these last 4 months off to really dial in and get focused for Olympics. And now I'll be, coming back and studying. So for me, though, I would really love to get into a head coaching job at a university to give back to the sport. It would be awesome. I also may run my own business one day, maybe a fitness gym with some recovery services. My bachelor's was in kinesiology, so I'd kind of like to pair the two together in some way. And that's something in my mind right now, but God only knows where I'll be after diving.
Will we see you training towards Paris? Is that a potential?
I think it's a potential. I mean, a lot of people almost think it's the impossible. They're like, okay, you're getting older now. I'm 29 years old. And as an athlete, that is a little bit older. And I've accepted it finally. But I know this isn't my peak. And I know that there's still more in me deep down. But I also haven't made the solid decision yet. I'm a little bit disappointed that the family can't be spectating the event at the Olympic Games. That is a little bit heartbreaking for me because, my parents and family have just been through this journey with me, and they deserve to be there to watch. And so in the back of my mind, I'm kind of almost thinking, do it for family. I would love for them to come watch me compete in the Olympic Games.
We want you to go for it. I know you can do it.
Thank you.
Krysta, I'm so through the moon for you. Congratulations again. How excited are you to be representing Team USA in the Tokyo Olympic Games?
Oh, I'm over the moon about that. It's unbelievable to me, and I'm just so super excited.
Well, congratulations again. I look forward to watching you, and best of luck. Take it all in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.